I put my eyes on that one. I don't know.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 34th meeting of the Honolulu Liquor Commission. We have no meeting minutes to approve, so we're going to jump right into our calendar. Public hearings, calling agenda item number 1, transfer application number 22-24474 from Kelly O'Neill's LLC.
Yes, may the record reflect Wayne Luke as the attorney and authorized agent for the applicant. I apologize, Mr. Lange was here for the preliminary hearing, but it's spring vacation. He has 2 young kids that he took to California, and I believe I can answer.
Mr. Gog, any notes for the record?
Just that there were no written protests and no letters of support.
Thank you. Would anyone like to provide public testimony on this agenda item number 1? Hearing and seeing none. Mr. Luke, we do have in our record a supplemental report stating that the affidavit was slightly incorrect. Can you speak to that?
I did. I was informed there were a missing count of 2, which still put it way over the 2/3 marks. So I myself didn't even count to see whether there was a discrepancy of 2. And the investigator told me, I wrote a letter acknowledging that it would cover everything. Until I just showed up today and he said it's not. But as you know, we're in a situation where we have taken extraordinary steps in this case because the second temp already ran out. And we have a management agreement. So I would ask that the commission pass this because it's not a question of how close it is to the 2/3 marks. All we have to do is mail 2/3, and we're in the 70s. And I don't know who is getting hurt by this 2. The difference of 2, which I really don't know. I didn't go back counting because we were over the 2/3 mark.
Yeah, I don't think there's any dispute as to whether you meet the statutory threshold.
And especially this commission, sometimes if something happens, we may not get a quorum. I'm just trying to, in this case, it's a timeline. I don't see anything that would prevent, we met all the requirements. And whether it was 2 or whatever, I don't know. It's just that
We
I
understand.
believe, we met all the requirements.
Thank you. You had your hand raised? I think it's more a matter of the fact that we need an accurate affidavit of mailing on record for 7 days before the public hearing. Not necessarily that you don't meet the threshold, but that we don't have the revised affidavit on file. Did you get a
Well,
revised affidavit on file with us?
If they had asked for the revised affidavit, I could have provided that. But all the investigator told me was to write a letter acknowledging that there was a defect of 2. And if you read that, the investigative report, he's saying that I did write a letter to that effect.
Commissioners, any other questions on?
So I guess for me, is there anyone in, licensing that we'd be able to ask, the confirmation of whether or not what we've done in the past?
Sure.
Yeah,
Mr. Sato is already standing. Mr. Sato.
Supervising Investigator Daniel Sato. Typically in the past, the commission would request that the correct information be supplemented to the office. And it would be displayed as required by 281-57C to be displayed to the public should anyone ask for 7 days with the correct information.
Mr. Sato, is this letter at the declaration in the final exhibit B sufficient to meet that requirement?
Typically, we would ask for a new affidavit of mailing with the correct information.
All I'm saying is, they asked me to do it, I would have done it, because I just did what they told me to do. And in all my experience, I've never come across this before. And I'm talking of over 50 years.
All right. To add to that, the investigator would cite the issues as stated. Will provide the commission with the report and determination as far as what to do to rectify the situation would actually come down from the commission to.
you know. No one in this case in the public is being affected.
Yes, Mr. Lu.
And
It's not necessarily.
I would have gone back and counted if, you know, this was gonna be, if this was gonna be an issue. You know, that's 300, you know, these are all certified mail, certificate of mailing. I don't even know whether it's two. Whether two is a deficient number.
Mr. Sato, are you referring to section 281? -57C, where it says, in addition to the affidavit, which shall be made available within the same 7 business day period with proof of having mailed the notices, is that what you're referencing? Mr. Lucas, it's not necessarily a matter of whether you've met the statutory requirement in terms of percentages, or even whether anyone's injured in this matter. It's a statutory matter of whether or not that has to be made available within 7 business days.
I would agree with you on that statement. But as I said, I did what was asked of me, that's all. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Mr. Sato, when was the error identified? And when was the licensee or licensee's representative notified?
It was actually identified on the 20th. And that would be Monday, and he was notified, I believe, within the hour.
Application was to write a letter stating that, you know, that was what I was notified to do. Otherwise, I'd go back and do a count. And I didn't even count it because it didn't make a difference on the, it may be, you know, it may be incorrect, the extra 2. I really don't know. But I didn't count. All I know is it was way past the 2/3 threshold.
I mean, even if we were to accept the letter in lieu of a revised or supplemental affidavit, it's still not within the 7 business day period. Mr. Sato, you said this has happened in the past with other licensees, is that correct?
Correct.
And in the past, the commission has continued the hearing, is that
No.
what's happened?
Correct.
So my motion is going to be, Mr. Luke, I have a question. Are you able to provide an updated affidavit? Correct, updated affidavit by tomorrow?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so if you can provide it by tomorrow, my motion is going to be to continue the public hearing kept open for 1 week, okay, till next week. If the affidavit is not provided by tomorrow, we will then have to move further because it won't be up for 7 days. Okay,
Sure.
so that's going to be my motion.
Okay, second.
We've got a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. This agenda item number 1 is continued for 1 week till the next calendar hearing, and licensee shall provide a revised and supplemental affidavit. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
Moving into license applications, special license applications, calling agenda item number 2, applications number 23-01584-1 through 23-01584-26 from Park Event Services LLC.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, commissioners.
Wherever you would like. It's
I'm
something
gonna-
I want.
It's gonna be a new.
Park Event
new space
Services.
for me here.
Oh, let's see. To my left, also representing Park Event Services is Emmanuel Zibakalam. You want to spell your last name?
EMMANUEL, last name ZIBAKALAM.
To my right is Mr. J Park, who is here with Park Event Services LLC. Park is PARK.
Can you walk us through this application, please?
Sure, this is for the Kamana Luau. And it's been going since January 2nd. It is a family-friendly luau. 95% of the customers are tourists. They get bussed in. The average attendance has been fluctuated about 350 to 400 people a night. It operates Sunday through Friday at a low hour, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. And it's a luau style. They come in, they get ID, they get a wristband, and they get 2 drinks, and then an entertainment and a show. It hasn't had any incidents since it's started on January 2nd. Let's see, we have 1 HPD officer a night, and then we have 4 in-house security. We have measures in place because it is at HPU on the college. We have measures in place that block any students from sneaking in or trying to attend. We have security guards in posted positions.
And the details of these applications are approximately the same as the prior.
Oh, it hasn't changed. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same footprint, same rinse and repeat every night.
What has been the average number of minors? What I mean, obviously, right, there's gonna be minors that are gonna come to some of these things with their parents.
Yeah.
You guys have you guys have an idea of what the average number out of that 350 to
minors,
400 is?
It's families that come.
Okay.
So it's usually like a family of 4. They usually have 2 kids with them.
Okay,
So it's maybe 20% max.
okay,
20 to 25%, but the majority of tourists, and they get bussed in.
right.
So, and then they get bussed back to the hotel, so.
I'm assuming we have enough people making sure, even though they're with their parents, somebody's
Oh, yeah.
17, 18, 19-year-old kids have a way of getting their parents,
Oh,
so
for
want to
sure.
make sure,
They
yeah.
all, yeah, they get wristband as they come in,
Okay.
and before they even, enter towards the bar area, they have a
Okay.
wristband.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
I move we approve application number 23-01-584-1 through 26.
Second,
We've got a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01-584-1 through 23-01-584-26 inclusive are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 3, application number 23-01585 from Park Event Services LLC.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Devin Koba and Manuel Zabakalam, once again representing Park Event Services LLC. To my right, Mr. Jason Park, PARK. He's the representative for Park Event Services. This is for the Mike Love concert.
Can you walk us through details of this?
Sure thing. So this is Mike Love in concert. It's a 21 and over event at HPU. April 8th from 4 p.m. To about 11 o'clock. But we're allowing some time for cleanup. As far as we've got about 40 private security, range security we normally utilize. We have 10 special duty officers. They all get wristband and ID checked at the point of ticketing. And we have 3 medics on standby. We're looking at about 3,500 to about 4,000 people to attend this one. So the artist is Mike Love, really mellow reggae guy. And then there's measures in place again, just it's on HBU, it's on a college premise. So we have security in at all entrances and any kind of exits and entrances and stuff. So. And yeah, it's like our last reggae show at the tower had no incidents. So, seems to be working.
Sure. Any other questions?
so, Mr. Nakoba, you guys floor plan, the 3 medics, are they gonna be roving, or is there going to be like a specialized, centralized area? In case you have someone that wants to take someone there?
Sure, I can answer that. Normally, they hang out in the front. They have their own table and tent, and they're on radios.
Okay,
So as needed, if somebody trips and falls or whatever,
okay,
we radio them in and they're immediately they go to.
Okay. And then the VIP, there's only 1 entry, right?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, I'm assuming there's gonna be security enough there.
yes.
Okay. And then the last big question, most of the concerts want to make sure if you guys or have overindulged, overconsumed, or reggae concerts, any of the additional parking wise, guys can leave their car,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's standard. We don't tow them or whatever. They just, if they're, yeah, if they can't drive, we don't. Keep the car here.
Yeah. Sounds good. That's all the questions I have.
Actually live right across the street. I'll be looking down.
Oh, awesome, right on.
I move we approve application number 23-01585.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none. I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01585 is approved.
Thank you so much.
Calling agenda item number 4, application number 23-01613 from the Joy of Sake Ohana. Please state and spell your names for the
Sure.
record.
This is, I'm Chris Pierce. I'm the founder of the event, PEARCE.
James Gowell, GAWEL, for the board members.
You. And this is for the Joy of Sake events?
Yes.
Is this the main event? The main event.
Yes, that's correct.
Can you just walk us through some of the details of the event?
Sure.
Security?
This event was held the first time in 2001. This is the 22nd time it's been held. It celebrates Hawaii's sake heritage that was brought here by the Japanese immigrants. And also the history of the Honolulu Sake Brewery. First sake brewery outside of Japan was in Honolulu. And it was very successful, continued here until 1994. We received guidance and instruction from the brewmaster of the brewery, Takao Nihei, and we conduct this event as kind of a tribute to him. The event features sakes that are judged here at an annual appraisal. Generally 8 sake specialists from Japan come in, and there are 3 from the United States. And over 3 days, they conduct a blind tasting of the sakes that are entered in the U.S. National Sake Appraisal. And there's over 500 of them. And Joy of Sake is an event that the public can taste the entries of the sake. So it's tied into the appraisal, the judging. It's held at the Hawaii Convention Center. We've had up to 1,500 people there, but we're doing smaller numbers now after COVID, being very careful about the density inside there. The event, as guests come in, they're given a small cup, and the tasting tables are set up with traditional Japanese cups and and in each tasting cup is one of these pipettes. So the guests take about 10 milliliters of sake and taste it, and they move it. So it's not really so much a drinking event as a tasting event. And it gives people an opportunity to taste many different sakes. And there's 17 restaurants that participate, and they're given an honorarium, and they make a sake appetizer. So it goes on for 2.5 hours. It's a wonderful sake cultural experience that's become very popular in Hawaii.
You expect how many to attend this year?
1,150, 1,150.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments?
so the 1,150, is that your current ticket sales at this point, or is that what you're thinking?
We're getting, we're about 1,000 now.
Okay. The other question I had is, I didn't see anywhere listed on the report, but is this going to be a 21 and over event only, or is there going to? be-
Absolutely, yeah, we check ID
And we have signed.
and we have signage, and we don't allow anyone to bring underage children.
Last thing, looking at your folks' floor plan. So on the outside, so there's an outside terrace area, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So the entrance portion of the terrace area, you're going to license or have that be part of the licensed area as well?
Right, that's correct.
So,
Coming up the stairs, right? It's,
so I mean, like, if you look at your floor plan, right, you have the inside the ballroom where you have the
Yes.
entrance.
yes,
And then you have, I think it says 82 feet. That's kind of like where they're gonna walk in, right? Because
Yes.
you're gonna have dividers, it looks like, from the left side where there's a couple of restaurants and a few, I'm assuming tasting areas.
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to remind you, right, that anything that happens in that licensed space, that's part of your space. Okay,
There'll be security right at the top of the steps,
Okay.
that entrance area.
that's the main thing we want you folks to know, that you're licensing that space and you're responsible for that space.
Will you be the only one in the convention center that evening?
They notified us, yeah.
Okay.
We are in the event. As of now, as of yesterday. I walked in.
I have no other questions.
All right. I'm a fan of the events.
Oh, wow.
I move we approve application number 23-01585. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Application number 23-060161.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01613 is approved.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Commissioner.
gentlemen. Thank you. Calling agenda item number 5, application number 23-01670 from Hawaii United Okinawa Association. I got the name.
Hi, good afternoon, commissioners and chairperson Bucky. So I'm Clarice Kawashigawa. I am president of the Hawaii United Okinawa Association this year. This is our executive director, John Itamura. We also have Dave Arakawa, who is also on our executive board. And also in the gallery is Jessica Yamamoto, who has been leading out on the planning of the event. So thank you for having us here today. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have about our application.
Sure, thank you. Of course. Could you just walk us through and summarize your event?
Yeah, so again, this is the Kari 2023 event. This is set for April 2nd. From 5 to 8 p.m. It is a Kauhana sunset event, 21 years and for 21 years old and 20 for 21-year-olds. And so it is a tasting event, so it's not meant, for heavy consumption. We anticipate, well, our ticket sales are currently at 250 people. We have a max capacity set at 500, but although our center can definitely accommodate a lot more or a bigger crowd. So again, this is our second time doing it in this format. This is not a brand new event. It's actually had prior iterations in previous years, and we're actually pretty well experienced with putting on these types of large events, including the Okinawan Festival, which is the largest ethnic festival in the state, right? So hopefully you find everything in compliance, but happy to answer any questions.
I just want to supplement that the capacity of the ballroom itself is at 1,297, or actually 1,274, I believe. And so, but we're not limiting, as you saw on the map, the usage of the area is inside the hall as well as out in our garden area. The entire facility is our property, and we're capping attendance at 300. So it's not a capacity issue. And then also, I'm sorry, we're capping it at 500. So it's not a capacity issue.
Any other questions?
okay, so looking on your folks' floor plan, but also reading through the supplemental report of the report you folks provided. I think you guys listed 3 bars, but I only actually see 2 marked in the floor plan. Is there 3 bars or is there 2?
I think the correction is really that there are two designated consumption. There's one major consumption area which incorporates both areas, but there's 2 areas that there will be alcohol served.
Right.
One is outside, and one is inside, so only 2.
Okay. And so in the garden area, a garden area that you're going to be having your things, I know that it says there's 2 walls on 2 different sides, but the front portion, is there a wall there, or is there barricades that's going to be up? Or something from allowing people not to get in or out?
So
while holding-
actually, as you look at the map, and I'm sure you're situated the way I'm looking at it here. If we look at the top, it says UK Street and the bottom is Kamehameha Highway. So if you notice the three yellow rectangles on the right side of the red line, that's a choke point. And so there are fences on the opposite side on the actually going towards Wahiwa. And there's the walls that you see bordering Kamehameha and also Wahiwa. There's actually no other ways to enter the area except through the ballroom doors or the choke point that's really identified as a small, the
exit
center
point.
rectangular. Yes.
Okay. Okay, no, I just want to make sure there's certain spaces there.
And there will be wristbands.
Okay. And then, want to make sure, I think, did you folks say it was gonna be a 21 and over event? Okay. Yeah, so the only thing I would suggest is being out there in the garden area. You know, it's a wide open space. I know you're limiting the people, but let's make sure we have enough people watching to make sure people aren't over consuming, even though it's a tasting. And the very last thing I would ask is, so I know it's on your property, is there parking sufficient enough that if someone does happen to take a little bit too much tasting and go a little bit too far, that they're gonna be able to leave their vehicle and not drive off, you know, intoxicated?
Yes.
We have two separate lots, right?
Yep.
So we have two separate lots, this current lot and then another lot that's a little bit further off site. So yeah, so that is it. And then we also have arranged for Lyft,
Okay,
a Lyft discount. So we are fully advertising, you know, safe driving.
thank you. That's all the questions I have.
I move we approve application number 23-01670.
Second,
Been a motion and a second, any objections, reservations, hearing seeing none, I also vote aye, the motion carries. Application number 23-0167 is approved. Thank you. Have a great event.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Moving into preliminary hearings, calling agenda item number 6, transfer application number 22-24904 from Royal Marina Investment Inc.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioner Robin Melcher on behalf of the applicant, Royal Marina Investment Inc. And to my right is Andrew Lee, the president. We have reviewed the report and there are no amendments or changes.
Commissioner.
so Ms. Melcher, I know we're in the preliminary and if we move forward with this application on the floor plan, you know, if you can some way, shape or form, make sure that it's somewhat delineated what it is, I'm going to assume based off of it, I don't see any red, that's why on my picture. I'm going to assume it's everything that's in there that you're looking in Exhibit A to make as your licensed space.
Yes, and it was unit as red on the
Okay.
original. Yes.
Okay,
So it's all in the,
Okay, I'm just saying on mine, I can't see any red, so
Right.
that's, we may want to make sure we can see what that is as we move forward.
yes.
Beyond that, that's the only questions that I had.
We approve transfer application number 22-2490.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second, any objections, reservations, hearing seeing none, I also vote aye, the motion carries. Transfer application number 22-24904 is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 7, transfer application number 22-25069 from Keong A Han.
The applicant, Kylie Han, is present with counsel Wayne Luke. She is on her second temporary license right now. And so far, no problems. I guess she followed the instructions of the commissioner as to how to be careful with checking IDs and what.
How much longer is on your temporary? Are you gonna make?
We're gonna make it
Good.
just barely.
Is there any other question? Or think that's-
So just one quick thing, in the report, right, it says an executed lease must be submitted prior to the issuance of a liquor license. So are we working on getting that or have we already gotten that in?
I think we may have it, but that's just a requirement
Okay,
when you pick up the liquor
yeah,
license.
I'm just
Sure,
reiterating what's on the report. Beyond that, that's all the questions that I have.
good.
If you don't have a lease, how are you operating? Just a month to month, or
What's that?
if you don't have an executed lease, how are you operating?
We may have. You don't need, yeah, I think we do have the lease. When we apply for a license, we don't need it. It's permission from the landlord.
I move we approve transfer application number 22-25069.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Transfer application number 22-25069 is approved. Thank you. Thank you. Moving into temporary license applications, calling agenda item number 8, application number 23-01171 from S&K 2023 LLC.
Commissioners, to my right is Simon Chung, Cheung. He is the applicant and owner. He is present with Counsel Wayne Luke. We have no changes to the investigators report. For the record, this is going to be a second Asajio. I have no question.
So what was in this space prior to,
What was the question, sir?
what was in the space prior to the license or the app?
The same, he's taking over.
They're just taking it over.
Yeah, he's just taking over from a Asajio owner.
Move we approve application number 23-01171.
second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Application number 23-01171 is approved.
Thank you very much. We're gonna try it that way.
Moving into request, calling agenda item number 9, request number 23-00559 from W Stake Waikiki LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commission members. Kenneth Wu appearing for the applicant. Mr. Ishiguro was to be here with me, but he unexpectedly got called out of town. I am the authorized agent. This is a request for permanent increase of the licensed premises. It's a Wolfgang Steakhouse, 3rd floor, Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center. Presently, their premises comprise about 11,300 square feet. They want to take over an adjoining space to adding about 3,000 square feet. That's about a 27% increase in floor area.
For increase in dining capacity.
For dining purposes, that's correct.
Questions or comments? from the commission?
Mr. Huso, I know that it talks about there being a door added or something.
Yes.
Will that, I guess on the floor plan wise, can we make sure that that's at least delineated in there? Because it doesn't
It
show
will
that
be.
there's any additional door at this point. And that's actually what connecting that hallway that runs to the new
That's correct.
proposed area.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is the door.
So that's, as we go through, let's make sure we get it corrected on the floor plan.
That's correct. Thank
Will
you.
that be the only ingress and egress from the space?
There's another, if you take a look at the exhibit D, to the report, I believe there is another, exit area.
Oh, I see it. Yes, thank you.
I move we approve application number 23-01171.
We've heard.
Oh, sorry.
The number.
Okay. Request number, I move we approve request number 23-00559.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-00559 is approved.
Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 10, request number 23-01464 from 17A Productions LLC.
Good afternoon, Chairman of the Commission, Greg Michelle, authorized agent on behalf of the applicant. I have received the investigative report. I have no changes, corrections and or additions.
The permanent increase, correct?
Yes, it is.
And sorry, the red line is a little light on at least my copy. Could you walk me through the before and after?
Okay, if you're looking at Exhibit A, it's the copy that I have, which was off the commission website. It is kind of light, but you will see that on the right side, the current premises is right here on this corner. I believe which is the bathroom is not part of the licensed premises. The extension as reflected in Exhibit C would then expand it to this entire portion on the right-hand side, right hand. And that will include the walkway, I believe.
Right, so you're accessing it
middle.
the same way as.
Correct.
Yeah.
If I understand this, this is one of those other Chinatown businesses where there's an interior courtyard. Yeah. Similar to that Ole addition that we shared several
The-
weeks ago.
On the new proposed space that you're going to move into, I see some ingress and egress going to an outside area. Where is that leading to?
I believe that is to the bottom right hand, it's part of the building itself. I think that's to other, it possibly is to other business. I'm not sure. I can't answer that. I don't want to mislead the commission. With regard to the right hand side, I do believe that is along the possibly along the exterior of the building. Possibly, I'm not quickly sure. I apologize.
Commissioners, any other questions?
You know, I think, if I recall this building properly, right? Some of these areas may be, especially on this, top portion here, which I believe is outside, courtyard area, because there's a pond.
Mhm.
Yeah. These entrances are chained and not open to the public.
Mhm.
Similarly to, other places I've seen.
Does that abut another street or?
On this side,
Yeah.
let's see. Trying to think which street is that?
Yeah, that's
It's not Mauna Kea, but it's the next street, Diamond Head of that, I believe. Or just there today.
Smith.
Yes, yes, sure. I believe it's Smith Street. I get confused. It's like, okay, this business is here, I go there,
So. Only, so to get the floor plan, the only concern that I have in regards to how it is when you look at the hallway, right? Your prior plan was, there was just a way that you'd walk across from the restaurant to that other portion, right? Now you have another whole hallway, and then in that hallway, you have two opening doors that open outward and a single door that opens outward. I don't know if those two go into any other unlicensed space, which would be. So. You look, if you're looking at the hallway that runs to your new space. There's those three doors. I don't know what they lead to. And so technically, right, we don't want to have that being the primary entrance of someplace that's not a licensed space. You know what I mean, to go in there. So I'm not sure on that.
I do not believe that there are primary entrances. In fact, I do not believe that they're even viable egress or ingress through those doors. All right. I believe that the doors that are used for commercial purposes are at the bottom, the two doors on the bottom, as well as I think the door on the right hand side. That's it.
So I guess my question to you will be this. During that hallway, is that hallway going to be planned where individuals are gonna be able to hang out and drink? Or is it gonna be where that's where a server will be taking, or someone will be carrying the liquor to those people that are gonna be in your new or additional licensed space?
I do not believe there will be service, people actually consuming on those areas, but it is a way for the servers to travel from point A to point B. From, let's say, from the bottom portion of the, as noted on the exhibit, the C of the premises to the top of the premises. It does not make sense to have any service or tables or people have been hanging out there.
Okay.
I think that would be possibly a fire code violation too.
Okay, and this is a request for permanent extension?
Correct.
You also have any other questions? Okay,
Actually, I have one other question. I'm just looking at the floor plan. Is the space that you'll be adding, is that going to have its own bar? Or is it going to rely on the current licensed space?
I do not believe that the space, if you look at the top portion, where there's I believe it says that's circular things with the, you know, that's basically a service area. I believe that the portion below the kitchen, which is in the extension premises, will be a bar, additional bar.
gonna make a motion. If that's, my motion is going to be to approve request number 23-01524, but with a 6 months probationary period, because I want to make sure we don't have any problems in that hallway area. Did I read the wrong number?
Yeah.
Sorry. Request number 23-0. A motion be for request number 23-01464. To approve the request with a 6-month probationary period to make sure we don't have any issues going on in that hallway.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-01464 is approved with a 6-month probationary period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 11, request number 23-01524 from A to Joy Inc.
Good afternoon, Chairman Buckley, members of the commission, Naomi Cole on behalf of Restaurant Aki. Present to my right is the manager, Mr. Shoichi, SHOICHI Kosaka, KOSAKA. We are requesting for a permanent extension of premises. So the current space is 825 square feet. We will be adding 270 square feet. So approximate 33% increase for a total square footage of 1,095 square feet.
What will be the use of the extended?
It's a sushi bar.
Commissioner.
So Ms. Cole, can you walk me through your 2 floor plans? You have a floor plan, sorry, slide back up. Floor plan A, exhibit A, and then you have a floor plan exhibit C.
Right.
So which one is going to be your new floor plan with the addition, or are both of those going to be together added?
No, floor plan A is existing, and then the floor plan C is a new one, which is just right here that they're gonna add this.
Okay,
section here. This is the existing, and they're just adding a smaller area here for
Okay.
sushi bar.
Okay, I see. So the sushi bar section, does that have a separate entrance or is that an exit?
It does have a separate entrance. The entry is at the bottom of the floor plan there, and then they have a shared kitchen in the back.
Okay, so you're gonna have 2 entry points to
Yeah.
the licensed space.
Correct.
Okay.
Are they gonna operate independently in terms of clientele?
No.
What is Do you guys have an approximate number of people you're gonna be seating in that sushi bar area?
7 and 4 is total of 11.
11. Okay. I have no other question.
Be approved request number 23-01524.
Second,
We've got a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-01524 is approved.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioner.
you. Calling agenda item number 12, request number 23-01629 from Taste of Thai Cuisine LLC.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the Commission, Greg Nishio, authorized agent appearing on behalf of the requested party. We received the investigative report, have no changes, additions, and no corrections there too. I do note that Mr. Shinsato submitted to the commission a larger blow up in the floor plan. Specifically with regard to if you look at exhibit 1B, it's kind of great outline, better delineation. You don't need extra copies for your things.
Temporary till the end of the year, is that correct? Are you looking to do something permanent or?
I believe, yes. If they haven't submitted it already, it's in the process.
Questions, comments?
this portion, outside seating?
Correct. What we'll try to do is have some kind of delineation, maybe through sanctions, in anticipation to your questions on that. You know,
Yeah.
have dedicated personnel employees, although, manager will be on duty, can't be there all the time, but managers will, the manager on duty will make sure to maintain a, eye on that area as much as possible.
Then is there 2 doorways in or is there just one?
I believe based upon what we're seeing right here, there's only one doorway in and out. That's on the right-hand side.
At the restroom area thing?
Correct.
Okay. And so there's no way, I mean, we're gonna have, I guess outside, right, we're gonna have stuff, making sure they just can't walk off your property, right? Okay,
That's correct.
do you know if, I guess the other question I would have is, do you know if he plans to have like a permanent bus station, or you know what I mean? Like waitress type station outside there, just to keep an eye? If not, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I can't answer that affirmatively, but based upon looking at the spatial layout right now, it may be difficult to put something out there.
Okay,
But if that's, we will broach the subject with our client, and maybe that's possible, just to, address certain concerns that the commission may have.
I mean, I think it will depend on what he wants to talk about as putting to boundary the space. Okay,
Correct, correct. Understood. Thank you, Commissioner.
that's all the questions I have.
We approve request number 23-01629.
Second,
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Request number 23-01629 is approved.
Thank you very much, Chair, members of the commission.
We will now move into adjudication hearings. While we all file in, Mr. Jacobs, you make your appearance.
Yeah, good afternoon, Commissioners. Daniel Jacob, Deputy Corporation Counsel on behalf of the city and county of Honolulu.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 13, LCV 23-0014 Bliss Lounge. Here for Bliss Lounge. And item number 13. There appears to be no appearance. We have made calls in the hallway. Mr. Jacobs. would you-
Commissioner, as for default, notice was served on the licensee on March 10th, 2023, was signed by the manager at the licensee's location.
Motion for a default judgment.
Second.
Well, there's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Default is entered for agenda item number 13. Mr. Jacobs, what is your recommendation in this matter?
This violation occurred on February 11th, 2023, when the licensee permitted liquor to be open and readily consumable after hours. This occurred at 2:19 a.m. Investigators arrived at 2:18 a.m., noticed 5 customers at the bar, 3 employees behind the bar, and observed a glass that was a quarter full of something that was determined to be alcohol later. This is licensee's 3rd violation. The recommended fine is $1,190, $1,000 for the base and $190 to represent $10 per minute after the 2 o'clock deadline. The first violation was in August 23rd, 2019, where the licensee paid $660. The second violation was in December 3rd, 2021, where the licensee paid $840. Again, this is the 3rd violation. The recommended fine is $1,190.
Do we want to approve a fine or do we want to continue to see if this applicant will, or this licensee will appear?
I mean, with it being a 3rd violation, it's like.
Mhm.
I mean, it's almost like I want these people here to know, like, whether or not. What's going on? Why can't you get your stuff collected in time?
We can continue the penalty phase of agenda item number 13.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would like them there because you need to understand it's a 3rd time violation. My motion would be to. Continue the penalty phase, to try to get the licensee to show for the hearing itself.
The next available calendar date.
Yes, for the next, I guess, next available.
The next available is March 30, and I believe we have a heavy calendar that.
Okay, so 2, I think we went 3 weeks last week, right, for one of them, right? So why don't we say continue it for 3 weeks? And then. Go from there.
April 13th.
That's possible.
So I believe that'd be April 13th.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to continue the penalty phase. For agenda item 13 to April 13th, 2023.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The penalty phase for agenda item number 13 will be continued to the April 13 calendar. Calling agenda item number 14, LCV 20-0040, Club 550.
Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioner Robin Melcher, on behalf of the licensee, and to my right is Nelson Cho, the Vice President. We waive public reading of the charge, enter not guilty pleas on charge 1 and 2, and no contest on charge 3.
So can we just proceed on charge 3 for now?
Yes.
And then we'll get to charge 1 and 2. after.
Yeah.
Motion on the plea for charge 3.
Sorry, could you please repeat? I was writing here.
So charge 1 and 2, not guilty, because we have proof that she's registered, and charge 3, no contest.
Motion to accept the no contest plea.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted as to charge number 3.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendation for charge 3.
Charge 3 is in regards to the specific allegation, or now the finding that licensee had an individual who was not registered but didn't have a time card. The specific charge again is for the failure to have an adequate time card for the individual stating the day, year, time, indicating AM or PM for the individual Tyree Shigaki. I want the commission to know that this individual is also involved, the same individual is also involved in charge 1 and 2. Again, charge 3 is for the failure to have an adequate time card. It's a first time violation. The recommended fine is $250.
Okay, so the thing though is that you, with the first two charges, we're gonna be going to something else with that, so I would make a motion to for the penalty phase of number 3, we
To be taken together.
taking it all together with the charge 1 and charge 2 when we do the contested hearing.
Yeah, we can do that. We don't need a hearing to continue that matter. So because you have pled not guilty for charges 1 and 2, we will continue this matter to the next available calendar date for a contested case hearing. Is that okay?
Okay, well, we would like to try and resolve it today because we have proof that she was registered as a dancer, manager, and host on January 24, 2020.
Procedurally, we can't enter into a contested case hearing on the same day. We have procedural rules that will be mailed to you. We can also tell you those orally right now, or you can waive an oral reading of the
I
rules.
waive it.
Okay, so agenda item number 14, charges 1 and 2 will be continued to the next available calendar date for contested case hearing. And charge number 3 will be continued to the same calendar date for the penalty phase.
I'm just questioning. If we are able to resolve.
We'll work with you.
before, then would I still have to come back for the penalty?
I can't
phase?
promise you anything, but I'll certainly work with you
Okay.
in the interim, and we'll see what we can do. And if we need to show up, we will.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Calling agenda item number 15, LCB 23-0009, Club Roxa.
Good afternoon, Michael Green on behalf of the agent of corporation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
And Chair, Commissioners, we enter clear not guilty, waive the public reading, ask you to set it down for the case hearing. Something in May, if you could.
And I'm sorry, could we just have your name for the record and spell your name?
Yvonne Vernon,
Spell the last name.
VIEONES.
And Mr. Green, did you say you were pleading not guilty?
Okay.
So this matter will be continued.
You have a
May
May
date,
date,
I
I
appreciate
appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Agag, do you have the calendar hearing, or should we schedule that upon Mr. Wright's return?
I can represent to the commission. I'm familiar with the contested case hearing. We are looking around mid-May, however, it may be June. Well, that's the time frame right now we're filling as we speak.
June is even better.
So we will continue this matter to at least the May calendar date for a contested case hearing. Do you waive oral reading of?
I did that already, yes.
Okay, then this is continued to May calendar date for contested case.
And I'll get notice of that.
You will.
Have a good day.
Calling agenda item number 16, LCV 23-0008, Encore Saloon, the Daily Burger.
I will represent to the commission that this licensee did contact me, ask for a continuance. I have no objection to the continuance. We ask that it be scheduled for April 27th.
April 27th. So agenda item number 16 is continued to the April 27th calendar dates. Calling agenda item number 17, LCV 23-0012, Pesco Waikiki Beach.
Before the licensee introduce themselves, I will let the commission know that there is a small problem error in the wording of charge 2. I did speak to the licensee. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and then I'll explain that thereafter.
Okay, great. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Rhea Ashley Dela Cruz. I'm the authorized agent for Pesco Waikiki Beach.
My name is William Nickerson, newly acquired general manager.
Mr. Jacob.
On or about February 9th, 2023, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to have a duly registered manager in active charge of the licensed premises during the time the establishment is licensed to sell or serve liquor in violation of Rule 3-82-38.9 sub A of the Rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu. Charge 2. Again, I'm going to read it as it's been charged and we'll discuss the amendment thereafter. On or about February 9th, 2023, in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee employed Rhea Ashley Dela Cruz as a bartender without said employee having properly completed the server training program administered by the commission in violation of Rule 3-82-38.5 sub F of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the City and County of Honolulu. I'll continue on to explain that in charge 2, upon reviewing the investigative report, it wasn't actually the individual Rhea Ashley Dela Cruz, who I understand is here today, who was the individual, the bartender who was not registered. The investigative report actually suggests it was an elderly individual man. The name is not provided in the record. So I have spoken with the licensee prior, and I've asked them for permission and an agreement to amend the written charge as documented here on the record here today. I do understand that they're probably going to deny that charge. So if they do eventually deny the charge, we would come back and have the hearing on the proper wording. The proper wording would simply remove her name and provide licensee employed a bartender without said employee. So I guess I would ask if the licensee had any problem with amending the wording of the charge on charge 2.
I guess we can take the pleas first, because if you plead not guilty, then we can amend it.
I guess I would suggest this charge 2, they can't plead without it being appropriate. So I would ask the commission to ask them if it's okay to amend on the record, and then they can enter their plea as to the amended charge.
Understood. So do you understand what he was requesting? Okay, so do you approve the amendments on the record for charge number 2?
I approve it.
Okay, so based on that, Ms. Dela Cruz, for charge 1, how would you like to do? You okay if I do one charge at a time, or you want me to do them both together? Okay, so we need a motion to accept the plea. Charge 1.
We accept.
Motion to accept.
Oh, I'm sorry, second.
No.
It's been
Bad day.
a motion, been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations, hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted as the charge number 1.
Mr. Jacobs, for charge 1, your recommendation?
This violation occurred on February 9, 2023, when the licensee failed to have a duly registered manager present. It's a first-time violation. The recommended fine is $500.
Okay. Ms. Dela Cruz, for charge number 2, how would you like to plead? Motion to accept the plea for charge 2.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted as the charge number 2.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendation for charge 2.
Again, as explained briefly earlier, this charge again happened on February 9, 2023, when the licensee employed an individual as a bartender who had not completed the server training program. This is a first-time violation. The recommended fine is $350, so a total of $850 on both charges.
Ms. Dela Cruz, you have the ability to explain on both charge 1 and charge 2 if you'd like.
For the first charge, the individual that we normally have on duty, the manager, it's usually our AM blue card holder. She is currently pregnant at the moment. That particular day, she did have a health scare, which required her to actually leave the premise. Unfortunately, because of the nature and how quick it happened, she was unable to communicate to the rest of management, what was going on. I unfortunately found out in real time as well. My staff ended up why I was notified of the incident, and I was off site, but quickly as we were to get there, I drove out to meet with the commission officers to show them. And then second, it's obviously for charge 2, it's very much tied into charge 1. The particular individual or manager on duty holds a blue card, assists with serving the alcohol, and due to the fact that I wasn't there, I can't what transpired during the time in which the commission officers were there. there was an individual or employee of ours that was serving alcohol. Since then, we've made sure that all of our that is touching alcohol or doing any type of serving has gone through training and is registered for auditing. That's necessary for those.
Mr. Jacobs, a question would be, does the investigative report show what time they, came to the licensee's establishment?
9:45 a.m.
9:45 a.m. Okay.
Ms. Dela Cruz, do you have records of your manager being on duty at check-in of the morning?
Basically just look through the time clock, yes.
So between the time that you were made aware that she had an emergency and then you started to commute into the premise, how long did it take you to convict?
I do have footage, also. I have record as to where I was during the time it happened, as I do work multiple jobs and I was clocked in at my other job at that time. And I also have footage there too. There's like 42 cameras. So there's actually it shows the time of me frustratedly getting into my car and driving as quickly as I can to Costco. It's to my arrival and departure.
So, you stated now that you folks have corrected where, everyone would be correctly trained and have a server training program things. But have you guys determined how you're going to address possible issues if an emergency happens with one of your managers on duty? Most places will have either a backup manager there or something like that. So have you guys figured out to address that? Because we don't want someone again to have an issue or an emergency, that will have an issue, okay? All right. Mr. Jacobs, for charge one, this is a first time violation, correct?
Correct.
All right, so based on the fact that you guys have made some corrections, we're ready to see that. Hopefully she's okay and hopefully her pregnancy is okay and going on. For charge number one, my motion will be to issue a letter of reprimand for charge one. For charge two, I am going to approve the recommended fine of $350 because people were serving that did not have any kind of knowledge on that.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A letter of reprimand will be issued for charge number one, and a fine of $350 will be imposed for charge number two and agenda item number 17. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Calling agenda item number 18, LCV 20-0099, Pure Hawaii Gentlemen's Club, Coyote 9.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. James Tennant on behalf of the licensee. We'd like to waive the reading of the investigator's report and plead no contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Please accept it.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendation?
This violation occurred on March 8, 2020, when the licensee prevented individuals who are under 21 to enter and remain on the premise. It's a first-time violation. The recommended fine is $1,000. A little of the details, when investigators arrived, they found there were roughly 40 people at the facility. They noticed two individuals that looked youthful in age. They approached those individuals. They turned out to be 18 and 19. Those individuals, the minors, were not in possession of alcohol, however. First time fine recommended fine is $1,000.
Sorry, your last name again, I didn't get it.
James Tennant,
Tennant. Mr. Tennant, any explanations?
I believe this, it was so long ago, the event was a fundraiser on a Sunday, so. We normally are 21 and over, but at that time, there was no nudity dancing or anything, it was just a fundraiser. Learn and take action.
Okay,
So just to make sure I'm clear, you typically with a category 2 license have dancing. Age of 21 and over.
For special events, yes.
For this event,
This
you
was
still
just
have
a
the same
fun,
license, but you didn't have those activities.
yes, and I've learned now we have to put it in safekeeping and then apply for a special license for that day. If it's a fundraiser that we don't want to do. That's what I've learned, fortunately, the hard way.
yes, because I was going to be my next question. Did you have a special license for that specific fundraiser?
I looked
Changing
into
your,
it, yeah.
you had one or you did not?
No, I did not, but I looked into it after and learned, yes.
Okay. So yes, because you have the same category and obviously at that point, right, you're supposed to have people that are only of age of 21. It is a costly error, but now we've learned, but my motion will be to approve the recommended fine of $1,000 for agenda item number 19.
Second.
There's been a motion and seconds. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $1,000 will be imposed for agenda item number 8.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good day.
Calling agenda item number 19, LCV 23-0013, Study Hall Sports Bar and Grill Smokehouse University. You please.
Mike Powell present for study hall. Michael Powell present for study hall.
Mr. Jacobs, can you please read the charges?
Sure, I want to make the commission aware again that there is another problem with charge 3 with the wording. I will address it when I get to it. Charge 1, on or about February 2nd, 2023 in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii. Licensee failed to have an employee duly registered with the Liquor Commission as a manager or assistant manager of the premises on which he or she is employed, an active charge of the licensed premise in violation of Rule 3-82-38.9 Sub A of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu. Charge 2, on or about February 2nd, 2023 in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii. Licensee failed to have a time card or other adequate record showing in English the month, day, year, and time indicating AM or PM and the legal first name and surname of its employee, Daniello Jacob. That's interesting. Herger, when that employee was on duty in violation of Rule 3-82-38.4 Sub A of the rules of the Liquor Commission of the city and county of Honolulu. Again, I'm going to read charge 3 as it's written, and I'll discuss the error after. Charge 3, on or about February 2nd, 2023 in the city and county of Honolulu, state of Hawaii, licensee failed to make time record entries at the time its employees, Daniello Jacob Herger, reported on duty, and again when the employees went off duty in violation of Rule 3-82-38.4 Sub B of the rules of the Liquor Commission and city and county of Honolulu. I'll let the commission know that on charge 3, the rule 3-82-38.4 Sub B is correct. That rule addresses 2 violations. The first one would be failure to make record entries at the time the employee reported on duty and again when they went off. The other sentence in that provision is that it requires if the employee is a minor, that the time card have the word minor at the bottom of it. The investigative report indicates that that's the problem in regards to charge 3, that the time record did not have the word minor. However, there was the same problem with charge 2. It's the same time record that didn't adequately set forth the things that are required in the time record. So one time record here had 2 violations. At this time, I'd ask if the licensee, who I've not had a chance to talk to yet, whether you would be okay in amending the charge on the record. Charge 3, to read that on February 2nd, 2023, licensee failed to indicate that Daniello Jacob Herger was a minor on his time card in violation of 3-82-38.4 Sub B of the rules of the Liquor Commission. So I'm going to ask that the commission allow the licensee to accept the amendment or deny it.
Yes, I accept the amendment.
Thank you.
Thank you. The licensee has accepted the amendment on the record. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Powell, we're gonna go through each charge, okay?
Yes, sir.
For charge 1, how would you like to plead? You can accept the charge, deny the charge, or plead no contest.
I will plead no contest on all the above, Your Honor. Or I was in the middle of, or whatever you think.
No, okay, so we're gonna go through each individual
Okay.
one.
Yes, sir.
And you can tell me what your plead is, and
Yes, sir.
then we'll log it down. And then we'll take a vote for each of those, and then we'll go from there, okay? So for the first one, you're going to plead, accept the charge, deny the charge, or no contest?
Accept the charge.
Okay. For charge number 2, same, you can accept the charge, deny the charge, or plead no contest.
I'll accept the charge.
Okay. And on charge 3, you can accept the charge, deny the charge, or plead no contest.
I'll accept the charge.
Okay. Motion to accept the pleas for charge 1, charge 2, and charge 3.
Second.
There's been a motion in the second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Plea is accepted for charges 1, 2, and 3.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendation for each of the charges, please?
Sure, before I give my recommended fines, I'd like to discuss the charges. All 3 charges occurred when investigators arrived at the facility. They asked an individual working at the facility for his liquor commission card. That liquor commission card was red, which indicates that that individual is a minor. The liquor commission investigator asked the individual if there is a manager on duty, to which the minor employee responded no. The investigator subsequently asked to see the minor employee's timesheet. The timesheet failed to have his full legal name listed on the timesheet. And again, for charge 3, it failed to have the word minor at the bottom clearly. These are all first-time violations. Charge 1 is a recommended fine of $500. Charge 2, and that's for the registered manager. Charge 2 is a recommended fine of $250. That's for the failure to have the full legal name on the time card. Charge 3 is a recommended fine of $250. That's the failure to have the word minor on that individual's time card. The grand total is $1,000.
Okay, Mr. Powell. So for charge number 1, why was there no manager working at that day?
I had a stroke and I'm still recovering from the stroke, but we had some miscommunication with our management that's currently there. So it will never, ever happen again, sir.
Okay, so you, when you're working, so I guess my question for that day, that was supposed to be your shift,
Yes, sir.
but you had a stroke that day.
Well, I've had a stroke just prior
Okay,
to that.
just prior.
Yeah.
Okay, and so so I'm assuming you guys are open for business because they came in.
Yeah.
And so currently, how have you changed the operational plan or contact plan to make sure if there is an emergency, a manager will be on duty?
We absolutely, everybody understands that in the event we do not have a manager there, that they are to close the doors. If we don't have somebody over 21, to the best of my knowledge, we were assuming, and we made a horrible mistake. And it was during the time of me trying to heal. I'm still healing, and we're accepted. We made a mistake, and we were sure that it will never happen again if we have to, worst case, close the doors for the day as opposed to violating any liquor rules, sir.
Okay. So for charge number 2, this is where I guess he wasn't indicating that that your person was clocking in or clocking out. How have you corrected that? Have you corrected it? or
Yes,
how
sir.
have you corrected it?
Everything goes through our point of sale system, so they clock in and out via point of sale.
Okay, so that's electronic version?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So make sure as you go forward, right, there is some things you need to make sure we have on file that you're using an electronic system.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so make sure you follow up to make sure those things are correct, otherwise the future you may get a violation for that kind of a thing.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Now, have you corrected the situation in regards to charge 3 where you have a minor working who doesn't have minor listed on their time card? But now you're gonna have to have some kind of card for them to see since they're going through POS. How have you, or since you're doing an electronic thing, how have you addressed that?
So if by some chance we were to have any situation where the liquor commissioner walk in, we can take them directly to our computer, which we have at both the bar and our hostess station, and they can pull it up and we can show you all records right there, sir.
And it lists somewhere whether that person is a minor or not a minor.
Yes, sir. It'll have it included it'll have it included with their job description. So if they're a host or a server or a bartender.
Okay.
And we can also do a paper copy as well, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jacobs,
Is it okay if I put just the notes in mine? Cause I just wanna make a note to myself. I don't want you guys to think I'm using my cell phone. I just. Is that okay?
I just wanna make sure we're all good. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just wanna put a note in my
Yeah,
phone,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to make sure we have a paper copy as well next to the computer. That way it's very simple.
Yeah.
Everybody knows exactly.
Yes, no problem.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Mr.
Commissioner Hunter was noting that the electronic time card has to be approved in case you do that part.
I'm sorry, sir.
Your POS system needs to be approved by the liquor.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. But we will have the paper copy as well, and I'll just post it directly next to the computer, so that way. One, we will never have anybody that's under 21 them there by themselves, but in the unlikely event, we have to, close or something along the line, but I'll make sure we have a paper copy right next to the POS.
Mr. Jacobs, for charge one, is there anything in the file which shows that, what time the investigators got to the establishment?
$12:05 AM.
12:05 AM. Okay. Okay. So my comment is going to be, Mr. Brown, 12:05 AM. I understand that you were healing, but to have a minor in charge of a bar that's running at 12:05 AM, that's pretty scary to begin with, okay?
It's just so we're clear on the minor thing, he's 20 years of age.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying.
Under 21
Yes,
at a
sir.
liquor establishment,
Absolutely,
or people over 21 are
absolutely.
gonna be consuming, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so my motion is going to be, I'm gonna go through each one of them and I'll make a final at the end, okay?
Yes, sir.
So for charge number one, my motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $500. For charge two, my motion is going to be to issue a letter of reprimand for charge two. And for charge three, my motion is going to be to issue a letter of reprimand for charge number three.
Thank you so much.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections, reservations? Here and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 will be imposed for charge one. A letter of reprimand will be issued for charge two, and a letter of reprimand will be issued for charge three and agenda item number 19. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you going.
On agenda item number 20, LCB 21-019 Teddy's Bigger Burger.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, Emmanuel Dibakalam here on behalf of TBB Holdings, Inc. To my right is Rich Stula, the president, last name is spelled S-T-U-L-A. We waive reading of the charge and enter in a plea of no contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
You've got a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Here and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. Please accept it.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendation.
This violation occurred on April 14th, 2021, when the licensee sold liquor on the premises after the expiration of their license. This is a first-time violation. The recommended fine is $500.
Mr. Zibakalam, any explanation?
Yes, we were on the temporary license from after the renewal period because of the switch over from a company structure standpoint. If I remember correctly, I believe a number of the TBB holdings, which we do have 5 licenses, were under a specific company, and we were trying to move this space into that same company. And because we were under a temporary license first, we didn't renew during the renewal date. We went in, got a temp, and the licensing process took a little longer than we expected. That's why there was a bit of a gap, but we were able to rectify it. The moment we were notified, we stopped service, which would be the date before, the day after in question on the charge. And then we were able to rectify the situation, obtain special licenses, and then start serving again. It was a minor oversight on I shouldn't say minor, it was an oversight on our end. We sincerely apologize, and we do have 5 licenses that continue. to my knowledge, very little, if not no infractions. We would try to make sure we report everything and dot our i's and cross our t's. So we apologize for this instance.
Okay, so. After, I guess, so my question then is going to be to you, so. You were serving when it was expired. But as soon as you found out, you stopped.
Immediately when we found out, we stopped all service. There was a break-in service, obviously, until we could get the appropriate license. TBB Holdings, I should say Teddy was gracious enough to keep all their employees on hand and pay them through that break because they understood that it was on us rather than on the employees moving forward. And then when we had the appropriate licenses, we continued service.
Does, Mr. Jacobs, it may not, but does the investigative report by any chance show? I don't know if it would, when the license ceased to be operational?
Yeah, it was expired March 8th. So the facts of this case is the liquor investigators visited the facility on April 14th. They issued a warning for a charge that's not being heard today. They left the premises. When they went back to the office, they did a search and they had realized that the license had expired previously on March 8th. So the visit was on April 14th. The license had expired March 8th. My record does indicate that they indicated they did stop selling immediately after the next day that they were notified.
Mr. Zibakalam, how far, so if it ended in March 8th, right? How far was it that there was a gap that you guys needed to fill?
Well, when we were notified of it, we stopped sales immediately. I don't have the specific date of notification, unfortunately. But I do know that immediately when we were notified, as we were in the licensing process still, we made sure to cease sales and to apply for the appropriate licenses to bridge the gap between the temporary and the full license application.
Okay. Okay. So. Was longer than a month that you guys didn't have a license, but you were selling. That's what I'm looking at, right? A gap, just so we understand.
It's possible without going back to the record. of
Yeah,
sales
yeah,
records,
I'm just saying, based off of the information I have there.
Yeah.
So my motion is going to be to approve the recommended fine of $500 for agenda item number 20.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 would be imposed for agenda item number 20.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you.
Calling agenda item number 23, LCV 22-0105, Kaiserwood Tavern.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the commission, Keith Uchi for the licensee. Believe we're going to continue this since the investigators not available.
That's correct.
Did you have
First available, we're trying to work out some of the logistics because this might actually a little bit longer contested hearing than I thought it was going to be. So.
and you said the next available for contested case was in the May-June area.
Yeah, and I know my peer and myself will be working with Mr. Kichi to get a proper date after this. So if you want to pass to be determined, I think that'd be appropriate. We'll get that date scheduled as soon as possible.
In that case, agenda item number 21 is continued to a date to be determined.
Mr. Chair, before we go to agenda item 20, can we take a 5-minute recess? 22, I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
So we will be in recess.
Still gotta wait, I think she'll win. Oh. Oh.
Just to let you know, this isn't gonna be contested today.
Oh, no.
So my client is not here, which doesn't leave me a lot of options.
I think we're still needing to wait. Okay, we are back on the record. Thank you for giving us a brief reset. I'm calling agenda item number 22, LCV 22-0149, Smith's Union Bar.
Again, good afternoon, Chair, members of the commission, Keith Kiuchi for the licensee. We waive reading of the charge, enter a plea of no contest.
Motion to accept the plea.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing and seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. The plea is accepted.
Mr. Jacobs, your recommendations.
This violation occurred on October 29th, 2022, and the licensee permitted liquor to be consumed where it is not permitted on Hotel Street. To give you a little bit more facts, this was the night of the Honolulu Music and Arts Festival. Investigators witnessed two individuals leave the licensed facility with alcohol in it. This is a first time violation. The recommended fine is $1,000.
So I'm gonna tell you what my client would have said if he was here. So it was a night of hullabaloo, but it was at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It just started, the investigators went down. The beer tent was right in front of Smith's Union Bar. And my client has a conniption about that because, and I've done work for Mark Tyrone, but this should be like a beer garden. It should be separate. And my client admitted he didn't talk to the two patrons. They were in there. They apparently had the impression they could take the alcohol into the street because they saw other people there. Mr. Tyrone may not like this, but I don't think they should be serving alcohol in any type of venue except a beer garden. I don't think that thing should be in the streets because this is what occurs. Now, Smith's Union Bar is a very small, narrow bar. So it's just got the bar on the side. And then on the Diamond Head side, it's got like a long ledge. It's real hard to stop people from going out. I don't think there would have been any need to stop these people if there wasn't like a festival in the street. And I don't have a problem with a festival in the street. I do have a problem if that occurs and people think they can take alcohol anywhere they want. And certainly, that was what the situation was. And that's initially when my client called me. He wanted to contest it for that reason because he didn't like the fact that they plopped the beer tent in front of his establishment. He didn't like the fact that this thing was being run like, hey, you could just take the alcohol anywhere you. So. That's kind of the explanation.
Mr. Jacob, so, all of Hotel Street was an open carry section?
I'm unfortunately not.
Yeah,
familiar
it
with
was. It was, but it was one way, right? So you can't take the alcohol out, but you could drink there if you bought in the beer tent, which is what the problem, so. And I can see, a customer thinking they could do that. I mean, that doesn't excuse it, but that's also why these events are an accident waiting to happen. I hate to sound like chewing clock, but they really are. So that's kind of my view.
Okay. So I guess my question, I know that the investigators were not inside the establishment, they were outside, right, where they saw these guys walk out with the alcohol.
Yeah.
Do you know, Mr. Kiuchi, if your client knows? I've been in Smith's Union Bar to watch football, things like that.
Right.
Right, I know how long the bar is, but
Right.
normally he has a hostess standing in the front to seat you and everything else, right?
Right.
I guess my question would be, do you know if, you may not know, if these guys ordered right there at the end of the bar closest to the door, or did they order at the other end of the bar and walk all the way down, right?
They ordered pretty close to the end of the bar because Mr. Lockwood's regular seat at the bar is at the end of the bar. So he's always seated there near the door.
Okay.
He had a clear shot of them, but he didn't talk to them.
Okay.
So that would indicate to me they weren't on the other side and went out, so. Either way, the alcohol shouldn't have left, but you know what, in a normal circumstance, that wouldn't have happened, so.
Well, they'd have no reason to go outside, right?
Right, exactly.
But again, right,
Exactly.
I mean,
It still shouldn't happen, so, yeah, I understand, it's just. When you have these street events, that creates that problem, and, I know. I was sitting through, Mr. Tyrone's pitch. And, the licensees don't really like this, because that kind of bites into their business. So.
I guess one comment I would make is that I think you guys gotta have your licensees when these guys are here to pitch these things. But something,
Yeah,
right? Because
Dwight's gonna show up.
because
Dwight's gonna show up for the next hullabaloo application. He's gonna show up and he's gonna say his piece and let's.
no, because I think I was here for the hullabaloo approval.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think we all, I don't think there was anybody, I think there might have been some people in there, Chinatown condos that don't like it,
yeah,
or the noise, but I don't think there was a whole lot of people beyond that, right?
No, I know, I think Ms. Kwok showed up, she opposed it. I know my client, who's Kevin McDonald, head of the neighborhood board, showed up and supported it, but. I don't think it just needs to be limited. I mean, you gotta do a beer garden. I mean, that's part of the
Somebody
problem.
gotta go tell it, we gotta do a beer. Somebody gotta tell the guy, maybe, I don't know. Cause I think what Cinco de Mayo, they couldn't sell alcohol, I don't think Cinco de Mayo, I think it was just a street festival they could have,
Right,
cause it didn't get passed, I believe,
yeah.
my recollection, but.
I just think there has to be a tweak made. That doesn't justify the alcohol leaving the bar, but like you point out, the alcohol wouldn't have left the bar if it wasn't a street festival. That's the problem, so.
Yeah.
I think that's why Mr. Lockwood was so upset. Literally. I have seen him in the bar almost like 12 hours a day. So. And he was really kind of hot about this, primarily because he felt that. Yeah, it shouldn't have happened, so.
I can understand the licensees' anger over a tent being directly in front of their premise.
yeah.
I could see the licensees' anger in having a festival in the nature that you described, where alcohol, there isn't a beer garden and alcohol can kind of roam freely, and there's not a good understanding at least from the patron standpoints, that you can't go in and out of premises. There are those types of events in other places, so I can understand people thinking that. That has to be, of course, balanced with a licensee's responsibility for his own shop.
Making sure that he doesn't have the stuff leave, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think when Mark Tyrone was here, he didn't like the fact of the beer garden because they had these festival bands through the streets. I understand that, but this is alcohol, so drink juice or something when you're listening to the festival band, I don't know.
And I for one appreciate the comments because it does help with context for us in terms of, I mean, obviously the event isn't before us today, but it may be in the future, and other events like it might be in the future. So hearing licensing perspectives after the fact is helpful for us. So
Yeah,
we do appreciate that.
I mean, if Dwight's available, he'll show up next time. So anyway.
The only question I had for you, Mr. Jacob, is, this is their first time violation?
Correct.
Okay. Again. So I guess with those things possibly coming up, I mean, make your client know he's gonna have to watch, okay? But I am going to make a motion that for agenda item number 20, I'm going to recommend, impose a $500 fine for agenda item number 22.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any objections or reservations? Hearing seeing none, I also vote aye. The motion carries. A fine of $500 will be imposed for agenda item number 22.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Jacob.
Yeah.
Moving into other business, agenda item number 23, liquor administrator legislative updates. Ms. Agag, anything from you?
Nothing from Ms. Rai, left for me at least.
Calling agenda item number 24, liquor administrator administrative matters. Ms. Agag.
I got confirmation from that there is nothing else to add.
Okay.
From the administration.
The commission did receive a report prior to the hearing. Okay, then today's hearing is adjourned.